Alrighty. I think we're good to go. So you guys should have something that looks pretty much like this. This looks great, I think. So what everybody else has? Yeah. Terrific. Looks like everybody has kind of pretty much the same thing. So this looks good. Looks like you guys are well on your way and have a good handle on this. Nicely done. Beautiful. Almost done. Almost done. Okay. Good. All right. So now that you guys seem like you totally have a handle on this, we're going to have you guys try another one. This is on page 5, which is the page we're turning in today. So again, this is another problem. I would like you guys to try the first 3 or 4 minutes on your own. Let me give you a hint. The largest one is 177 here, I believe, and the smallest one is 70,000 here below it. So that's the largest and the smallest, those two. I want you guys to go ahead and spend the first couple minutes, 2-3 minutes, just trying to get your class limits settled, and then check in with your neighbors. And once you get the class limits settled, then you guys can work together. But please note that this data is not rounded to the nearest thousand, and it's not rounded to the nearest hundred, it's rounded to the nearest dollar. See how these are all whole numbers to the nearest dollar? So that's the where your limits should start in on the whole dollar, on dollars. Okay, so I'm going to open up rooms, and like I said, the first 3 minutes or so, everyone do your own class limits, and then compare first before you guys go forward. Okay? Great. Hello guys, welcome back. Some of you guys did slightly different ones. This is the kind of general answer that most of you guys have is this one here. Right, so in other words, your lowest one was 70,000. Since that is on 1,000, you can start there. Some of you guys chose to start with 60,000 so that you kind of go with the even ones. That totally works too. You'll have slightly different numbers for your boundaries and frequencies and stuff like that. But if you did 70,000, then your numbers should look like this. Either way, the relative frequencies are going to be decimals or percentages. Frequencies are whole numbers, right? How many are in each group? Cumulative frequencies are, you should end with 25 at the end. And then the boundaries are going to be the 0.5, right? Because these are in whole dollars. All of the amounts, the dollar amounts were in whole dollars, so that means that our limits are also in whole dollars, right? These are rounded to the nearest dollar. So that means that our boundaries will be in 50 cents. Okay, so this is the way that Jim Hannon would have you do it, right? Where you pick a number, you pick a, something that makes sense, like 20,000s, which is pretty much what everybody picked. Using the formula, this is how the book has you do it. And these are the limits they have here. And this is why Jim Hannon won. Which is more readable? If you're looking at this information, and I'm trying to explain something to you about this percentages and the cumulative and things like that, the frequencies, to have these limits here, or the limits that we used instead. Pretty much everybody agrees that these limits here are just a lot easier for people to kind of read and understand at a glance, so they don't get tied up looking at the limits. Now they can focus their attention on looking at the frequencies and relative frequencies instead of getting kind of hung up with these numbers and having that take up some of your working memory, right? So that's why, his method wins, right? It makes more sense. The book is kind of crazy. If your range is, close to 25 or more, then you should You should be going in 5s or 10s or 20s, something more round, and not, do this whole weird range divided by number of classes, blah, blah, blah stuff. Okay. So don't do this. Don't do the book. Do Jim Hannon's way instead, because that just makes more sense in terms of real life. Good. Outliers. Was there a question, first of all, real quickly? No? Okay. Outliers. So let's get a reader for this one. How about C? Go ahead and read for us.
An outlier is an extremely high or low data value when compared with the rest of the data value. The data value of 16, the number of siblings below would be an outlier.
Perfect. Right, so if we kind of look at our data list, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's a little bit of space before the 9, but that's not super far away. This 16, there's a giant gap between the 9 and the 16. It's way out there. That's an outlier. Next we have histograms. So histograms are where you have, oh, I missed a slide. There we go. Sorry. How about Olivia? Go ahead and read for us. Right, so yeah, exactly. So they're vertical bars. The heights are the frequencies. So their height represents how many people are in that group, and then the boundaries are on the bottom. So this one is for discrete, so they don't have boundaries, because if you have siblings, you can't have, 1.5 siblings. You go straight from like 0 to 1. There's nothing in between, and you go straight to 2. So you notice these guys don't touch. They're discrete. They're all separate. Now, it would be okay, I would be okay with you doing this, and this actually works for all, if you do boundaries, that works for all histograms. There's so many different ways of doing histograms. I'm just going to show you the easy, simple way. You can do it this way or any other way that kind of works for you, but it's going from these boundaries down here. See the boundary, negative 1.5, positive 1.5. So this kind of goes, these are its boundaries, so this goes between those boundaries, and then 1 would be between the boundary of 0.5 and 1.5. And then this one would be between these two, and this one's between these two, and this one's between these two, and that one is between those two. So you could do it like this also. And this always works, even with continuous data, if you use the boundaries. And then you don't have to write these numbers once, which is also kind of nice. I like that because I'm lazy, and I don't want to have to write both class limits and all of that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way. And let me show you an example. So this was my example that I did. This should have been 103. Oops. Oh, well, that's okay. This is the example I did. So here were our class limits, right, and the boundaries and the frequencies. So you'll notice this first class, it goes, I could either write 100 to 104, but if I just write down the class boundaries, I only have to write, just these numbers, 99.5, 104, 109.5, sorry, 99.5, 104.5, 109.5 along the bottom. I just write the boundaries once along the bottom. And the first class is between these two boundaries. So it has to start here and end there and have a height of the frequency. The height looks like the frequency is 2. Right? The next one between the boundaries of 104.5 to 109.5 has a frequency of 8. So from 104.5 to 109.5, I'll go up and make a box and have a frequency of 8, a height of 8. And the next one, from 109.5 to 114.5, I'll go up, all straight up from here, up to the height of 18, the frequency of 18, straight across, and then down to this boundary. So it has to be a start and end at the boundaries, not centered on the boundaries, but starting at one boundary and ending at the next boundary. because that's where this area, this is what this area lies. It lies between these two boundaries, from this one to that one. So that's what, where it should be. The 18 is between these two boundaries. So it should start here and end there. And it does. It starts here, it ends there. So what I would like you guys to do is use whatever data you have. It's fine. Use your boundaries. And go ahead and make a histogram for your data. So you guys have 3 minutes to do that. Write in your boundaries. It's the next page. Hop in there, get it done quickly. Eli, William, Zachary's all by himself, guys. That's right, I'll show this later. You're uploading pages, your quiz chapter 2.1 that you did today, and page 5 from your notes, this page finishing up right here. All right, have a good weekend. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys.
Professor Young?
Yes.
For the histogram, you don't have to start at 0 at the...
No, you don't. The height should start at 0. So that's a great question. So the frequencies should start at 0. The y-axis should start at 0. Otherwise, it's a misleading graph. However, your x-axis can start wherever you want. Really good question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. Your y-axis should absolutely start at 0 because otherwise it's misleading. But your x-axis could be wherever it is because that's the independent variable. Yeah. Great question. Yeah.
At the bottom of page 5, it says something about a frequency.
Yeah, don't worry about the frequency polygon. You do not need to do that before turning this in. I only want to see what we covered in class, which is the histogram and the table above it.
Okay.
Yep, and if yours is different than ours, it's fine. Whatever your group did, that was okay. That's no problem. I'm going to undo all these steps and then redo them all so I can save them in the video since I didn't do them in the video.
Professor?
Yeah.
Are we going to picture page 4 as well?
Nope, I don't need page 4. I only need page 5. So I'm going to randomly pick a page that will kind of represent what we've done, just to kind of make sure. It's just a double check that you've been doing your work. That's all. So that's just, I will randomly choose a page, and I've chosen page 5 today.
And then I have another question.
Yeah. Colleen, go ahead.
Okay. So for the x-axis, is it class boundaries or class limits?
Class boundaries is easiest. If we do class limits, then you have to do both limits, and then they should not touch the next class.
Okay.
Because something cannot simultaneously be 104 and 105 at the same time. So you'd have to have a gap between those two.
Okay.
So you could do that, but then you have a gap. You're going to have a gap like this. There'll be a gap between them. And you could do that. You could do 104, 109 to 104, or 110 to 104, 105 to 109, 110 to 114, and have a gap between them. That's okay too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for submitting, it's just page 5, right?
Yeah, just page 5 and the quiz.
Oh, and the quiz as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you have to save it as one PDF file. So there are instructions on how to do that in there now. I think they might have been a bad link last time, but they're corrected now.
Professor, where do you find the recordings from the class list?
Yes. Good question. So if you go to this here, go to, from home, if you go to the Start Here, then all of our recordings are right here, the links to video for lectures. So you click on that, these are all the videos, and sometimes I do a Zoom video as well, so that's the one that Zoom records, and I do one with my regular recording, which is usually you guys. So this is usually the 2 o'clock class, and this is usually you guys right here. Sometimes I only have one because one screwed up or I didn't have it. But
When do you usually upload?
Usually before I leave tonight, so usually around 11.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? I was... Yes.
Is it possible to check this out
No, I'll probably get to that this weekend. Or maybe next weekend. I've been kind of under fire a lot. I've got a ton of stuff going on at school and getting ready for next semester, and we have classified appreciation, which doesn't affect you guys, but it's a big thing for me. So I haven't had a chance to get to stuff yet. I'm just trying to like stay on top of my classes. I'm trying to keep a lot of balls in the air, basically, like I know a lot of you guys are as well. So I'm going to grade them after my life becomes a little more normal, which will be after next Wednesday. I'm sorry, what was that? The homework? Yes. So yes, there's a homework. The first homework's due tonight, but there's a free access code that came with the syllabus, a free 2-week access code that came with the syllabus. Okay, yeah. So that one you've had from the beginning, and that's good for 2 weeks. So you should use that and get the homework done that's due tonight. These uploads of your classwork, those are due they're due theoretically before the next class, but as long as you get them done before the exam, then you won't get marked late for them. I just need you to get those done. What? Yes, I'm on Connect Math, yes. Yes. You're welcome. Okay, so if you wanted to learn how to do the histogram, this is what I did for the 5 o'clock class. So first, easy way to do it, so I'll do a histogram for this data here. First I'm going to draw my line, so I'm going to hold down the shift button and draw a line because that will allow me to draw a line straight down. And I'll draw another one. If you hold the shift button down as you draw it, it lets you draw and move that around. And then I'm going to do probably post-it, these little post-it sticky notes for for all of my boundaries. So I need all my boundaries. So I need all of these just once. So I'll put that one down there where it kind of belongs, make it smaller, and get the next one. And actually, I'm also going to do them all because it's easier. Get all the sticky notes, and then put them in where they belong, kind of shrink them down, shift them where they should go. And then, hold on a second, and then, oh, you too, take care. And then I'm going to, along the side, I'm going to do all of the frequencies. Maybe I'll go in like two, I'm going in kind of in two, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So these are my frequencies, my heights here. And then I'm going to do boxes. So I click on this one here, the square, or the symbol. And you might have had a circle to start with. If you click on it twice, you'll get an option of other symbols. So pick the square one, and then you can draw squares, right? You can left click and drag and draw squares. So from here to there, right, because it's going to have from 99.5 to 104.5, I have a frequency of 2, so I should have a height of 2. And then from 104.5 to 109.5, I need a frequency of 8, a height of 8. So it's going to have to be this height in here. Whoops. Uh-oh. Guess I can move it and drag it down and kind of make sure it kind of matches up with this here and so forth. Right, so also make sure that, I think I mentioned to folks before that this rectangle should start at one boundary and end at the other boundary. So it shouldn't be centered like this, because this is not represented by 99.5. It goes from 99.5 to 104. So 99.5 should be on one edge, and this should be on the other edge. That's one way that you'll get points marked off on the exam if you do it the other way. All right, that is it. Have a good weekend.